Hi. Hi.
Hi there. Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Good to see
Hello,
you.
everyone. Okay, we are starting our new live stream, and I'm really happy to introduce my big friend and classmate, Carola Hop.
Hi
Uh,
there.
yeah, Carola is a great workplace strategist from Netherlands. She has a great experience, and I'm really thankful that you can come here and join us here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Kate. As you know, I really
So
enjoy being with you.
today I want to discuss with you kind of a new ways of working in different
Hmm.
types. Here in Russia, all of these concepts like activity-based working, remote work, desk sharing, it's still very new. So could you please tell a little bit about this concept? Does it exist in Netherlands? What is this maybe for ones who doesn't know? And I know that you have a new one direction, so maybe what's the name of it and what is this?
Yeah, sure. I will explain. So maybe it's good to tell a little bit about my background because then you get where I'm coming from and how I've evolved over the years.
Would be
Uh,
great.
yeah, I started out as an interior designer for a big banking corporation in the Netherlands. And it was quite a long time ago, like almost 25 years ago, where we were all still in a traditional workspace concept. Like I think, well, most companies still have this traditional workplace concept, which means that one person is assigned to one desk and you have your own personal desk. And over the years, what I could see in this company that I worked for was that we started to look at alternative workplace strategies, which meant that we were starting desk sharing, and then we moved to activity-based working. And now I'm working for a company, a real estate company that also adopts mobility-based working, and I will tell you a bit more about that later. So what I've seen is this evolvement from also myself as a worker, as an employee, sitting in my own personal desk, and then going to a different concept where I had to accept that I had to share desks with my
Yeah.
colleagues. But of course we evolved, and we also found that it would be better to create some more alternative settings so that people would be better supported in the work they did and the specific work style, which was activity-based working. So yeah, it's interesting to see this evolvement, and I'm curious to know also from you where most Russian companies are at the moment. What I see in my work right now, that still many companies are in this traditional workplace setting, but because of cost awareness, typically, companies have to think about how much space they use. And if they say, if they feel that they use too much space, or the workstations are underutilized, which is often the case, they come to us and ask for an alternative strategy on the workplace. So this is kind of the broad outline of how it typically evolves from one concept to the other.
And you have started from the desk sharing, the evolution of
Yeah,
the process,
yeah,
and then activity-based and
yeah,
mobile-based
yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah. So at the time I had my own desk, um, and that there are a few disadvantages, of course, to that concept, because when everyone has their own desk, you need a lot of space. And as soon as you start growing as a company, you need even more space. So it's difficult to be very flexible in your workspace, because if you have more people in your company coming to your company, you have to just simply rent another part of the building, or rent extra space. So it's probably wiser to start desk sharing and to say, okay, let's get rid of your own personal desk. Everyone is sharing desks, which can save space, because typically in any company that we see, only 50% of the desk is actually utilized. It's actually occupied during a typical day. And this is because of some people go, have to go to the doctor, some are on holidays, some are just sick, so it's never very rarely the case that you have a very high occupancy of the office. So you could use the space more efficiently. And if you start sharing the desks, then of course you can allow more people to use the office, because it's simply more efficient.
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the transition to the desk sharing, what do you think the most important part of this successful transition to this new way of working? It's, for example, a good change management program, or maybe it's a more functional layout, how to help people to adapt to new circumstances?
Well, change management for sure is one thing, because there will typically be resistance from people having to leave their own personal space. That feels very comfortable and secure, of course, for most people. So change management, yeah, for sure is one thing. You have to think about storage, because if people start sharing, where do you keep your storage? You're not allowed to have your storage next to your desk anymore. You have to probably share it in a cabinet with your teammates, or you have to, or you could use lockers for people's personal belongings. So people you have to set up a couple of new rules about the workplace behavior and how you use the workplace. So yeah, that's definitely change management needs to be done. What we also see in desk sharing is that sorry, I'm a bit lost for words now. Can you repeat the question again?
No, well, you replied to this question that I asked before. By the way, what's the usual rate do you use at the moment for desk sharing in the offices?
Well, it varies. It varies among companies. In Holland, 0.8 is very common. So that means if you have 8 desks for 10 employees. So that's typically the rate. But you could even go a more stringent sharing ratio, like an 0.6 or an 0.7. It kind of depends on the company. Depends on their work styles. If you have, for instance, a company that's doing financial accounting, typically people are all the time at their desks. So it's very difficult to apply a very stringent sharing ratio. Typically you have like an 0.9 or an 0.8 in those kind of companies. But you have a company with salespeople who are just coming in and out of the office. It could be more. It could be different, of course, because you could have more people. People don't need the desk that much. They use alternative settings like meeting rooms, or they're out to client meetings, or so it could be different. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to provide this kind of alternative settings, I think.
Yeah.
And it's why the activity-based office came, right?
Yeah. Because one of the disadvantages of the traditional office or the desk sharing office is that you have very limited alternative settings, so very limited breakout space. And typically acoustics is a major problem in those surroundings, because all the people are using the desk to do their work.
Yeah.
And work just gets done at the desk. That's the kind of the perception that needs to be there. Whereas activity-based offers, of course, a variety of settings. You could have like a focus room or a phone booth or some small meeting spaces. So for instance, when an employee gets a phone call, a private phone call, they can step away from the desk, go to this smaller space, and they won't disturb the others. So they won't disturb the colleagues. So that's one of the advantages of activity-based. Or if you have to do a very focused task, often it's very difficult to do this in an open plan workspace. So you just step out and go to a smaller space where you can, it's better suited for your task, your specific task.
And how this new model, the mobile-based working, worked? So what the transformations happened?
So with activity-based, you also have desk sharing, because with activity-based, you say, okay, we have a variety of settings, but we also share. Typically, we share the open plan, and we share all the settings that are there. We share the focus booths and the phone rooms and the meeting spaces and everything else. But we also typically you have like one sharing ratio for everyone. So whether you're a financial worker, doing mostly concentrated work, whether you're a salesperson, being out of the office most of the time, it doesn't matter. Everyone has the same sharing ratio. So it's a kind of a one size fits all, which is, oh, you know, it's okay, but it doesn't work perfectly, I think. So it's better to look at actual utilization of the space, and that you would do by a utilization study. You would do interviews, and you would do some observations of how people work, and then you would go to a mobility-based work-based pattern. So you would actually tailor it to people's specific needs. So those financial people would actually, you know, have an area where they have mostly desks, and they have some concentration booths available around them. And those salespeople would, for instance, have like a larger table in the center of the space. Also some places where they could get phone calls, but they, you know, they have a different style. So they need a different facility. So that's what we're doing for clients right now. They were kind of, it's not a one size fits all. It's like tailored to the specific needs of that specific department or group of people. Yeah.
Alex, thank you for the question. We will reply a little bit later for all questions. Carola, but I'm so thankful for what you told us, because I didn't know that it's kind of a whole concept called mobile activity, mobile-based working.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what I'm trying to explain to my clients every time, like, because they are trying to do the workspaces like one solutions fits all. And it's so wrong. And every time when I'm coming to the clients, I see this, that they're trying to fit all, for example, in the open plan, or everyone to the desk sharing, or new modern world activity-based working. Yeah, even you asked me what is happening in Russia, and in Russia, people usually not very familiar with all of these concepts. And even if they are, they usually don't want to use it. It's very rare when people are actually starting to implement it or implementing it correctly. Because just lately I had a case where people, they made a utilization study, they moved everyone to activity-based, how they thought it was, but the layout was not an activity-based office. It was just an open plan with lots of meeting rooms. And without any facilities inside the open plan. So people were like having small meetings inside of it. So it was really messy. Of course, they didn't like the idea of desk sharing in the end. And yeah, and they also had some people with anchors mobilities, for people who are sitting like 90% of the time at their desk, for one who are not familiar with the names. And yeah, thank you. That's great.
Yeah. So it's really about the difference. It's about the difference of between perception and measured reality. When you do the utilization study, you can quickly identify those patterns. The people who are more than 50% of the time at that desk, we call them the residents. Those are the people who you will assign kind of more standard desks, and the people who are actually, we call them campus mobiles, who are in the office like between 25 to 50%, or not in the office, who are behind the desk like 25 to 50% of the time. They will get some more, some space where they can move around freely. They're more flexible, and the agile people are only 25% at their desk, and they they are really mobile, so they can work from anywhere. They sometimes need a desk, but they sometimes just need an open plan table, and sometimes they just need a meeting room, and so it's very tailored to, it's actually measured realities. We can say, okay, this is the data. This is what it's showing, and this is that it's showing that your department needs more desks to do the best work. So
it's the great question from Alex. How to apply desk sharing for accounting, finance, compliance, security, or any other functional departments which cannot even work in open space?
So it's about the typical, if I get the question right, I'm not sure if
Yeah, you will say
finance compliance. Yeah. Cannot even work in open space. That's a good one. I would challenge the assumption that they cannot work in open space, because with design you can do a lot. You can. We always say, for instance, HR is a very it's always a department that says we need our privacy, or it's all about compliance. So you can kind of give them a secluded, kind of more in a corner in the office. They can still have an open space, but as an employee, when you go there, you kind of feel like it's safe. It's more secluded. It's away from everyone else. So I am pretty sure that you can still do desk sharing there in those kind of departments. It's just as how you design and how you organize it, how you organize the space so that people still feel like, okay, this is what I'm having on my monitor is not for everyone's eyes. We have to, we're safe here. It's okay to work open plan. So it's usually it's more about the perception that you cannot work in open plan. In reality, it's not so difficult, I think. It's more if you, for instance, if you feel like acoustics is really a problem, if you're really an open plan and acoustics is a problem, you feel disturbed, then it would be wise to create some focus booth. And you could still do your work. If you really have to do deep work, go to a focus booth. Create some alternative setting for your employees.
By the way, what kind of technology usually people use in Netherlands? Like all of them are on laptops, or they have a
yes, typically
monitor?
typically on laptops. So with like a standardized docking station, so people can work from any desk. So it's all standardized. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think in terms of our situation, we have a lot of people who working on their own personal big computers at the moment. And I agree with Alex that at the moment, for example, for accounting, it's not possible because they have these huge things and can't move from their desk. But also, I will say that this exactly the concept of mobility-based working are really works very well for these questions question as well.
Yeah.
Because when we will analyze how people spend their time at their desk and understand how often they really at their desk, if they are actually 90% of the time at their desk, they don't need a desk sharing.
Right. Agree.
Yeah,
agree.
But if they have like 70% of utilization in maximum, they have 30% time when it's standing empty. Then we can reuse this.
For sure. Yeah.
It's exactly this great concept that we need to understand each department for each company, and they are completely different.
That's right. But like you're saying, as soon as you have like fixed computers, it's more difficult, of course. You're less flexible. But again, like you're saying, you can still look at actual utilization patterns and then base your desk sharing ratio on that. Yeah.
By the way, where did you have this switch to the laptops from fixed computers?
Many years ago already in the Netherlands, many years ago. Because we as soon as we started also introducing the working from home policies, and the remote working policies, of course we had to have laptops, because of course at first we started with I think it was some software that we could use from our own computers at home. So we didn't have laptops yet. We could kind of log into the company from home. But, the easy way was to provide everyone with laptops. And so that we could work anywhere from the building, from our office, and also from home or from on the road. We could work completely remotely. Yeah.
And why it happened? Why people started to work remotely? What was the purpose? And how it was also adapting by culture? Because I know it happened many years ago when we've been studying, like 5 years ago. You've been working from home regularly.
That's right. Yeah. So it's actually two reasons. One is the financial reason. And that was because my company was trying to save space. And we moved to desk sharing, and we just wanted to have not that many people at the same time in the office. So we would offer people to go working from home so that we would actually accommodate everyone who would come to the office at that day, to give them a desk, you know, to make sure that they could work. And when they would come to the office, that would be a workplace for them. So that would only work if some of people were working from home, of course. So that was the financial reason. The other one was to be an attractive employer and to provide or help people with their work-life balance, so that they could organize their work around the kids, you know, getting the kids to school, or doing some other household tasks. And so it was really offering people some more flexibility, that they, and also trust that they could, you know, organize their own work in their own time, and be, you know, make it as convenient as it could be for them. So it's from an HR perspective, and it's from like a financial perspective. Yeah.
And when it have started, how often did you work from home that times, and how often do you work from home now? Maybe not only you, but in general, people.
In general, it really depends on the company, I must say. When I worked for this insurance company, I would typically leave home only like mid-morning. So I would avoid the traffic jams, and I would go to the office and be in the office like until 4 o'clock, and then go home, work some more. So I would do this like a couple of days a week, like 2 or 3. And some days I would work a full day from home if I had a lot of concentration work to do, or if I had no appointments, no client appointments, I would do this. So it really depended, for me, it personally depended on my workload and how much I could actually do from home to be more productive. When I felt like I was more productive from home, I would stay home. And still now, I'm in a team that works completely remotely. So either we're with clients, we're at the office because we have a team meeting, or I'm working from home. For my husband, for instance, he's a sales manager. He visits clients during the day. He never ever goes to the office, because he, you know, when he's in the office, they actually look at him like, "What are you doing here?" So he only works from home. When he's not visiting clients, he works from home. So it really depends on the company, the type of work, I think, and the level of trust that's there, and the level of maturity that the company has, and in offering and trusting the employees that when they actually do work from home, they're working. You know, that's basically
I understand it completely.
very important. Yeah.
Because exactly also what we don't have at the moment in our culture, when we speak about maybe when we speak about young and technological companies, we do have some kind of this mindset, but in big companies they're still very hierarchical, and it's quite strong, and managers are not ready to allow people to work remotely. And it's a huge problem, because now we have a new generation coming to the workplaces, and they are quite ready for remote work.
Yeah.
Some of them are tried this, some of them not, but still. But I'm not saying about remote work in isolation. It's completely different way when you just stuck at your home and stressful all the time. What's happening at the moment, but still there an opportunity to work from home, or an opportunity to work from the co-working or the cafeteria. A lot of people are young people are ready for this, but the management are still so conservative.
Yeah.
And they think that they can't trust to their employees, and that's really a big problem. Because just yesterday I had a talk with my client. They're a huge company, about 4,000 employees in the headquarters, and they facing all of this crisis at the moment. People are starting to work remotely, and they're kind of adopting the new ways of working, this future concept of how work could be. But I'm asking them, what are you going to do after the crisis? And they're like, probably we will come back to what we had before. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting because that's also what we're, of course, looking at right now. And it's like this COVID-19 crisis has kind of forced us to work from home instantly, to work remotely. And it's like every single company, whether they are already used to remote working or not, they are now suddenly forced to do this and to learn. And some have a very steep learning curve right now because they've never done it before, and now suddenly all the employees are working from home. And how does that work? And is the technology available? And yes, are they indeed working? And I have a feeling that if you keep an open conversation with your clients and start, and start asking them, like, what did you learn from this phase, and how can we, how can you do it in the future? Of course, this new remote working concept will save space in the end, because if more people are working from home, you don't need that much office space anymore. So it's fine from a financial point of view. It's very interesting to adopt it and embrace it. Of course.
Even then, when we're talking about the financial way, they are telling like, no, we're not ready.
Yeah. So
like, come on.
Yeah. So it's good to find out why. The question is like, why do you need an office? What's the purpose of the office? What's the role of the office in this new post-COVID-19 situation? Like, do we still go to the office to do our work? And because work is at the office, or do we go to the office to meet our teammates and work? The work can also be done from home. Sometimes even better, because you're more, you're in your own environment. You can concentrate better. And you go to the office to just meet your teammates and have a collaboration, and it's interesting.
How do you personally feel? How maybe you wish it to be?
I would. Well, I for many years, I worked like this. I am so used to my freedom. My past employer was an engineering company where I was supposed to be in the office 5 days a week, even on my part-time day where I worked only 4 hours a day. So that for me was like back to the Stone Ages. I had so much trouble accepting this. Like I couldn't concentrate. It was an open plan. I couldn't really concentrate, and there were no alternative spaces for me to do my concentrated work, and I wasn't allowed to work from home. So I would, if it was for me, I would offer anyone this flexibility to manage your work-life balance and to work from home at times when it's convenient, and also accept it, and also provide a space, an office or a space where you can actually meet your teammates face to face, because it is indeed important to see each other face to face. You can do a lot online, you can do a lot remotely. And I think you'll agree with me, because we both did this master in workspace design. It was vital that we had those 3 weeks where we met each other. We actually sat next to each other. We were working face to face. We knew each other. We've smelled each other. We've heard each other. It was so important. And then we started working online, and it was seamless. Like nothing ever changed, It was like, because we had seen each other, we'd known each other, we'd been with each other. So, and I think the same goes for companies. You need to check in with your teammates from time to time. You need to be at the office together to do some brainstorming, some innovative work, get together, because social cohesion is also very important. You need to have that chat at the coffee machine. But it's also perfectly possible to do some work from home. So I would really encourage to have like a mix.
In this case, how do you think the layout of this kind of office could look like? Like, just in general, what kind of areas and so on?
Yeah, I would really see it as like a great variety of settings. So yes, there will be desks, but there will also be phone booths, but there will also be collaboration spaces, like brainstorming rooms, open areas, coffee areas, social spaces, really social, and many social spaces, I think.
So social spaces will be like a central part of
Yeah.
the model, not the open plan.
No, not the open plan. No, more social spaces. I can imagine that when you enter a space, you know, when you come from the elevator or the entrance, that there's like a central space where you have a coffee area, where you have lots of meeting areas and maybe some small meetings rooms, enclosed rooms. But then the further you get away from the noise, would be good to have the desks there. You know, it's like it's a very natural flow of energy, and then the more you get towards the back of the office, the more quiet it gets. That would be ideal, I think.
You know, it's interesting because I feel like it's mixing the standard office model and the co-working as it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like offices are actually getting more from the co-working industry as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting shift. I'm just now.
Yeah. They're getting more. It's getting more social, huh? It's getting more to meet to see everyone, to meet your teammates. It's less about doing your 8 hours of work behind your desk like this. It's yeah.
And I would say that it's actually a very beautiful concept because in this concept we will see offices like communities actually also.
Right. Yeah.
And when you really feel that you belong to this community, you belong to this company.
Yeah.
And also this feeling will makes you more engaged with work that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's so easy to organize yourself.
Yeah, and the home working will play into it, I'm pretty sure, because as soon as you give trust to employees, you know, there are actually two risks in home working. One is that you get distracted, of course, by the household task that you sometimes need to do. But the other is, if people are really engaged, they tend to work too much from home. They work too long because there's the boundaries between work and your personal life get blurred. So if you trust people enough to say, okay, they will do their work from home, and it's all output based. You have to deliver something at a certain time, but I don't care when you do it, even if you do it in the middle of the night, it's fine, you know. As long as you trust people to do to deliver their output, you will get so much done. You will get so much engagement. I'm really sure. And something you said before, it reminded me of a manager of mine when we just started this working from home. You know, you have in Skype, you have this little green dot that says that someone is actually online, and when it's red, they're busy, and or yellow, it's away. And he said, I couldn't help myself, but I'm constantly checking those little dots for everyone. And he said, I just want to be sure that you are working. And you know, quickly when we said to him, no, well, trust us, you know, we'll get the work done. And then he said, okay, I'm not going to check it anymore, because it was the kind of control mechanism that was still in place for him. Like he wanted to check any time of day if everyone was actually available or busy, you know. So that's something.
Actually, it's very good point, because this shift will be even more complicated for managers, especially for ones who are used to control their employees all the time.
Yeah.
Because if the society will shift, they will have to change, or they will leave without a job, and it's really
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It will really ask for people to trust. But if your social cohesion is good within the team, you will notice. When someone is underperforming, you will notice for sure, because when you're really working closely together, it's obvious when someone is, you know. So it's always wise to keep communication open. Like in our team right now, every day we do a check-in. It's called the Corona check-in. Every day we're checking in at 9 o'clock in the morning and saying, hi, how is everyone? Everyone's still healthy? How's it going? You know, any problems from working from home? How are we doing? What kind of projects do we have? So it's vital to stay in touch with each other and check in.
By the way, did you have, when you had this shift to the home office at first, did you have kind of a massive problems with exactly mm, not so efficient work, and where people left their job or being fired or so because like something like that? No?
Not at all. No, no, I don't remember. No,
Lucky.
not at all. Most people loved it. And we would agree amongst each other, like when you have your typical day, working from home day, and when you have it. So we knew from everyone. And it's very important to keep your Outlook calendars open so that everyone can see where you are at any given time. And if there's some appointment that you don't want people to see, just simply put it on private. You know, it's very crucial to, I think it's crucial to keep the Outlook calendar open so that you know where everyone is. Yeah.
It's so, all of this sounds so great, and for
Yeah.
you, I think, for lots of people in Russia. Could
Uh-huh.
you please maybe share some of your life hacks, how you've done this home office and remote work successful for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to stay productive? And also, I know that you live with husband and beautiful daughter, and when you probably started, she was quite young. So
Uh-huh.
how did you manage this?
Yeah. Well, when I started, of course, she was already going to school, so that's an easy one. As soon as I could take her to school, I would have the flexibility to take her to school in the morning, and then I would start working from home. And when we moved to this place, I ensured that I had a good office. So having a separate office space for me is vital. I know it's not for everyone because some people are, just have a smaller space and you just need to do with what you have. So often it's the kitchen table. And people are working from the kitchen table.
Yeah,
But
I've had
I would ensure, yeah. So I would make sure I had a good office. It's ergonomic. I knew what kind of desk size I needed to have, and I was lucky that my company actually helped me with this because they, in Holland, employers have a kind of an obligation to ensure that when they ask people to work from home, they also have to provide the facilities. So they have to.
a desk and a chair.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they offered us, that we could buy from a special arrangement. We could buy a chair at reduced rate, for instance, or we could buy a monitor at reduced rate, so that we could have like a proper setup at home in our own
That's
office.
great.
So that was really great, and I feel very, very lucky because now I still have this monitor, I still have this chair. So for me, nothing changed. As soon as this COVID-19 hit, I would instantly move to my office space at home, and I have a perfect workplace here. So having an ergonomic workplace is, I think it's vital, because if you start working long hours from home, being on your kitchen chair and at your kitchen table with your laptop, it's not that comfortable. So it would be good to have like a laptop stand and a separate keyboard, and just very practical things. So, but yeah, I don't mind working in the evening, for instance. Sometimes I'm more productive in the evening. And one major hack for me is that I tend to work too long. So I need to take regular breaks. So I really have to say to myself, okay, like up to an hour or 1.5 hours of concentrated work, go down, get a tea, take a little break, and then go back. So it's yeah, you have to kind of divide your day in small chunks, because you won't be able to sustain it in the long run. So
Yeah.
taking good care of the body and taking regular breaks is important.
But you also do some regular stuff for your body, like walking,
Yeah,
running.
yeah. I try to go out once a day and then take a break. Or now we have this policy in the company where now everyone is working from home. So also the people with kids, they just have to provide lunch for the kids. So we said, okay, no meetings between noon and 1:30, because everyone needs to have this free time.
So it's the company's policy.
The company's policy, yeah. So we
Great.
agreed with each other not to schedule any video calls during this time, because everyone needs to take care of the family and is making lunch for them. So it's actually, I take a 1 hour break between 12 and 1. I take a break because I need to prepare my lunch, and I just want to sit outside when it's now sunny. I just take a break, so to make it more pleasant, because you really. I was told that 6 hours of working from home is equal to a full day at the office, so it's more intense and it takes a lot of brain power. Yeah.
Thank you, Carola. Thank you very much. So I will sum up just what we have discussed, and maybe you will add something what we didn't mention yet. So we discussed the new ways of working, like desk sharing, activity-based office, new way of understanding work and creating layouts. It's mobile based working, and also we spoke about the remote work. Also, I feel like all of these concepts, they are logically coming from one from the another, and also it's all works together, some kind of.
Yeah.
And if we say about the evolution of the ways of working in Netherlands, we're starting from the desk sharing, because we had financial reasons for that, and also the human resources reasons to make people feel this life-work balance. Then we went to activity-based office with lots of facilities, and now finally we have a mobile-based working, when we actually checking each characteristics of each department, and then choose what kind of settings works for them.
Right. Yeah.
And also to support all of these new ways of working, we use the home office idea. So it's also, as I understood, it's just flexible hours in the office, and also you can work from home any day comfortable for you.
Yeah. Or you agree with your teammates, because if everyone starts working from home at the very same day, it's probably not that convenient for the company. But yeah.
And, by the way, does people use cafeterias and co-workings often for the work as well?
Well, I think not in the companies that I used to work for, but we kind of had our own. We had our own co-working space. We had our own remote office. So
your company has
a remote office. Yeah. So it was in a place called Almere, which is like half an hour from Amsterdam. So they used to have a remote office there to offer the people who was living actually in Almere not to go to Amsterdam, but just stay working from an office close to their home. So
mainly people work at their home, where they have special settings, sometimes provided by the employer. And also in this co-working organized by companies, or in the company's office if they want to.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's to offer as much flexibility, I think, as possible. And
so commercial co-workings or the cafeterias like Starbucks are not very popular for regular work.
Well, people do use them. Do use them, but of course, then there's compliance, that you're not allowed to work from anywhere, or you need to have special software, or like a laptop, the screen that people can't look on your screen, things like that. So people are always
all of that. So you can just like your company can forbid it to work from anywhere. So you have to stay at home or in the company's facilities.
Yeah, or you need to follow certain rules. For instance, that you don't speak out loud about clients, or just about security in general. That you don't, that nothing is open out in the open, or there's a risk that something is coming out of the open, or if you use like a secure Wi-Fi, things like that. So, but typically your companies have these kind of policies in place. Yeah.
Would you have any kind of recommendations for Russian market at the moment? Because I think personally that we have a great opportunity to step further, like to step away from these 10 years of coming from the desk sharing to activity based very slowly, like, because anyone is adopting a remote work at the moment, but the cultural mindset are not very ready for this. So.
Yeah, well, I think it's for survival's sake. I think companies need to adopt these kind of workplace strategies, because young generation is coming. They are tech savvy. They're so used to working with technology from anywhere, any place. If you want to get to draw in these talents as a company, you have to. Or you lose the war of talent. You lose it for sure. And there's a limited availability of Generation Z workforce. So yeah, I think company and they will find that in the end they will save space. They will save money. So for the business case, it's also the best option to move to more alternative workplace strategies and to allow people to work remotely. Yeah.
Yeah, I so agree. I couldn't agree more, actually. Thank you very much. Guys, if you have questions, you can ask here at the moment, or maybe later I will translate it to Carola if you will have questions later. Thank you, Carola. Thank you very much. And for the whole market, I just really believe that it's a great historical opportunity for the whole company, for the whole country, actually, at the moment, because we usually about like 10-15 years away from Europe, from and from Western world, and now we finally have this opportunity to be at least kind of in line with the whole with the rest of the world. So I have a lot of hope.
Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting that you say that, because yesterday, my manager was saying, like, we used to have an advantage, us as the Dutch and also the Nordic countries like Sweden and Norway and Denmark, Finland. They were so much ahead with these kind of workplace strategies, but now everyone is on the same level.
Yes.
So we completely lost that advantage, because everyone had to adapt suddenly to this new situation and to start working remotely. So I trust that Russia is as good a place as we were many years ago already. But everyone is in the same place right now. So it's the perfect springboard for any new way of working and new concepts, I think. I'm just hoping that people are flexible and open to it, and really know that this is the way forward if you want to engage the younger workforce. And
Thank you very much, Carola.
You're welcome.
Please, text some messages for the Carola saying thank you.
And
it's
okay.
I'm
my
really
pleasure.
Grateful.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we will finish.
Good.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Okay, so any questions we will ask will be answered on email, or I'm happy to
I will
provide.
upload this video later, so
I
will have an opportunity to see the comments. So
okay, perfect.
Great.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.